Here's how we create a lookdev asset for a character rig for use in lighting. To begin with, we get the character rigger to make sure there is an exported alembic rig of the character. And we load that alembic by going File, Import, Alembic Scene, and then we'll find the, in this case, the Jasmine rig published, accept, and we'll import it. Now here's our published Jasmine rig. And within the Alembic Archive node, what we see is that we have a geo node that contains each of the different parts of the geometry. Now to apply the shaders, we're going to put each material on the appropriate piece of geometry, but there's some things we don't have to worry about. For example, anything that says blend shape on it, we do not need to apply a shader to those. Those are part of the rig. We already have a lookdev of Jasmine, but it was put on the OBJ and not on the rig. So we're going to load up that HDA and we're going to grab the material network from it. So the latest one in development is Jasmine lookdev version 2. We'll install and create that. And now we'll unlock it, go inside and grab the material network. Now, if we're lucky, the artist has named the materials in here according to the different body parts. So let's look inside here. Skin, eyes, teeth, shorts, sock. So it looks like this has been done. These look like they're all really well named materials, really obvious. So we'll just copy this material network and go back into our Alembic archive, down into the geo level, and we'll drop our material network right in here. At this point, we can go back and delete the Jasmine lookdev version 2. Alright, so what we need to do is go through each of these pieces, not including the blend shapes, and add the shaders as needed. So we have to jump inside this Alembic node to find the geometry node. So this is the geometry SOP. And the geometry SOP has a render tab where we can assign the material. The easiest way to find the materials right now is to just look inside the mat net that's inside Geo where we put it, and there's our list. We're looking for the shader for the braid shape, and there isn't a shader here called braid shape, so I'm assuming it is the hair material. And that seems to apply correctly. Step up a level, go to the next one, head hair, jump inside. Once again, we get the geometry SOP, go to the render tab, and apply the hair material. And then we simply go through and do this for everything else. So here's one area where it was a little bit difficult to figure out. The geometry is called Jasmine body shape and the material is called skin material. So this is a good place where the material should probably be named appropriate to the piece of geometry that it's supposed to go on. Once again, this geometry is called T-shirt, and the shader is called shirt, which makes it a little bit more difficult to find. So now we'll take a look at our shaders, see if they're all functioning properly. Remember that there are no lights in the scene, just the headlight, so we're not going to get a lot of highlight and shadow, but it looks like the materials are working essentially correctly, and it looks like we need to hide our blend shapes. So the blend shapes are visible, looks like they need to be turned off. Okay, with this done and ready for testing, we can turn this into a digital asset. We simply go up 2 levels, create a subnet from the selected, right click on it, and say create digital asset. We'll give the digital asset an operator name, Jasmine lookdev version 4, and the location where we'll save it will be in the appropriate place. P projects, AMZ, assets, development, Jasmine, lookdev, HDA. Jasmine, lookdev version 4, HDA and C. Accept. Accept. And now we get to edit the type properties. We do want to make sure there is at least one input, and that will enable us to parent this asset to something else if we need to. However, there's one more thing we need to do in order to make parent transforms work, and that is that we have to go inside here and make sure that our asset is connected to the input. Otherwise, transforms will not get conveyed to the Alembic archive. With this, we can apply, and I'm going to rename this Jasmine lookdev version 4 and save node type. Now I need to test this. So first I'm going to save my scene, my HIP file, so I can always come back to this and remake my HDA or make changes if I need to. And I'm going to delete the asset and reload it. So this is QCing my HDA. What I'm expecting to see is the geometry with shaders. And when I put my render region around, just let it wait for a moment because this is from the previous render. I'm actually going to move my camera a little bit to prove it. And there we go, there's our new render, and it proves that the HDA is working properly. Now there's one more thing we need to add to the HDA, and that is in the upper interface we need a place to change the alembic, because the current alembic inside of here is the neutral rig. This Alembic archive is the neutral rig. To add animation to this lookdev, we simply need the alembic of Jasmine animation on a given shot. So what we're going to do is go back up to the top interface of the HDA, and we're going to right click and say type properties. So this is back to the type properties that we were originally given. And up here we have transform and subnet. What we want to do is look at the parameters, and we can see transform and subnet are folders in the parameter list. So you create a new tab by creating a new folder. I think it's acceptable for us to just have our Alembic file at the top of the transform. So what we're going to do is go down here, grab a file, and drag it up right up under the root. We can hit apply to see what that looks like. And there it is, and it simply says label on it. Well, we're going to call it Alembic archive. And we'll copy that also to the name. The name automatically puts an underscore in it because names are not permitted to have spaces. We'll apply that, and we now see that it says, so the purpose of this file parameter is so that we can, with one single change the alembic that this lookdev asset is referring to. Right now, if we look inside, we'll see that it's referring to the Jasmine rig alembic that we use to set up the lookdev. And it's not just in this node. If we look deeper, we'll see it's in the geo node in this subnetwork. We'll see that it's in each of these nodes, has the file path, and then inside each of these nodes, there's the actual file SOP that contains this path. So there are a lot of places where this path needs to change. And rather than going through them one by one for every single shot when we want to change the animation, all we have to do is take all of these locations and refer them to that one file parameter in the upper interface. Then we make one change, and we can apply any animation alembic to this lookdev. So here's how we go about doing that. We right-click on the Alembic archive parameter, and we say copy parameter. We go inside to the first node, and where the file name is, we right-click and we say paste relative reference. So this now basically says whatever is in that file parameter will be what's here. We go into the next level, geo. We do the same thing here. We go into the next level, We paste the same thing here. We go into the next level. There is not one here. This is where we have the material, but the file SOP inside needs it. So what we have to do is find all of those locations and paste them in. And what you'll notice is that items are disappearing as we place this. And the reason is because this parameter is empty. It doesn't have an alembic yet, so it's pointing to nothing. Don't worry about that. As a matter of fact, if we want to fix that, we can go ahead and load the rig location into here right now. So I'll just do that. Assets, publish, Jasmine rig, ABC, Jasmine rig publish, and you see the items came back and the errors are now gone. And if they don't go away right away, they will once you close and reload the scene. So now we have to go through every single one of these. We have to make sure to do the blend shapes as well. We have to do every single file path. So the more complex the asset, of course, the more challenging it's going to be to find every single one of these file paths to paste relative reference. And it takes, a little bit of time, but it shouldn't be too tough. There's another one. Always at the bottom, there's going to be a file SOP. And just keep working your way through the entire asset until you have every single one. One of the nice things about this upper group is you can select a bunch of them together to do your paste relative reference. But then after that, you do have to dive inside to go down to the file SOP for each part. So now remains the question of how do we get this lookdev onto the animated geometry? Or, to put it more correctly, how do we apply the animation to this lookdev? This already contains the rigged asset. All we have to do is take the alembic archive that was used for the published neutral rig and swap it out for the published animation. So we've done a temp publish of one of the shots, AMZ002. As an alembic. There it is, AMZ002 anim Jasmine publish. And when we accept that, we're going to see that Jasmine disappears from world 0. We'll focus on it with space G, and there we can see her. Now, I have gone ahead and set my frame range to start at frame 1001. If you forget and only have your frame range start at frame 1, you're not going to see any animation happening. So make sure to change your frame range. And now when we scroll this, we'll see animation happening. And we can confirm by using our render region that this animated character now has all the lookdev on it. So that is the workflow, animation through lookdev into lighting. So the lighting artist will import the lookdev, import the animation alembic, put them together, and end up with something like this.